Welcome to my Friday Tarot Live readings. I will be offering free readings for the next hour. Free reading rules are one question per person per live broadcast. However, I do also offer other readings which are referenced at the bottom of the screen. If you do a free reading but you have a follow-up question, you can make a donation for one question, $8, and it's 5 more cards to give a more extensive answer to your initial free question. I also do a 7-card reading for $10 that can be either 2 questions plus some bonus, or it can be a kind of an overview of the week ahead. And then I also have an option for a $12 reading that is 9 cards that allows you to ask 3 different questions, or you can ask one question and get more in-depth information. There's different ways we can approach the $12 reading. You can donate for any of these readings, including giving me a tip for the free one if you feel like you've gotten something out of it, through my Venmo, my CashApp, or my PayPal Me. And those are scrolling across the bottom of the screen. I do want to advise folks that, especially the people that come back every time, which I love to see, it's never a good idea to keep asking the same question over and over again within the space of a week. You tend to only get gobbledygook. And so I always suggest that if you're going to come and ask questions within the same week, that you ask different questions. Another thing to keep in mind, especially when it comes to relationship questions, the person that you're thinking about does have free will. So, if you think that they're the one for you and the cards seem to indicate that, that doesn't mean that they're thinking that you're the one for them. So always keep in mind that there's free will for everyone. Okay, I'm ready to go. I've got a new location in my house today, one that I hope will work better, that I'll be closer to my internet, with not so many walls in between me and the internet access, because I think it was having problems last time I was in here. And also a room that has more natural light. The deck I'm using today is called the Stained Glass Tarot. It's a very pretty deck with more traditional pictures, but just with the stained glass theme. If you've been here before, you may notice I've also changed my background. Because of where we are in my apartment, there might be a little bit more background noise. I do live right on the corner of 2 streets, and I have neighbors who like to play their music very loudly in their vehicles. So hopefully they will give us a break tonight. So I mentioned that the first hour I'll be offering the free readings. In the second hour, I will probably only be taking donations for the $8, $10, and $12 readings. If you really do have a burning question, which is the title of this live, I do suggest you go ahead and get the $8 reading right up front, because it does put you ahead of anyone that might be in here for a free reading. You will be given priority. And welcome August. It's the first day of August. Where did the summer go? We've had a lot of heat, like many people in the United States, in the last, couple of weeks, I guess. But we're finally getting a break. If you can consider highs in the 80s, the high 80s a break, it is for us. I told you I moved into a different room in my house. So I've been rearranging things all day. Still haven't got everything put back in its place. Like I said, I live in an apartment. Actually, it's a duplex, and my neighbor next door happens to be my brother, my little brother, and he has gone on vacation. He really likes the beach, so he likes to go down to Florida and stick his toes in the sand and just relax. That's definitely his vibe. I am not a beach person. I mean, it's okay, but it's like I'm not in love with it like he is. I'm more of a woodland and garden kind of person, thus, in the garden tarot. I love gardening, I love flowers, I love vegetables. I don't get to do much of it living in this duplex, but I do still grow things in pots. And my front door is on the west side of the building, so I get a lot of light, especially in the winter. Gets a little brutal in the summer there, so it's hard for my plants. I have to put them in the shade, but in the wintertime it's nice because I can still grow a lot of cool weather vegetables well into the winter where I live. But yeah, I've got the three different donation readings that you can do. I am also offering free readings tonight. And then scrolling below are my Venmo, my Cash App, and my PayPal. Um, you can pay either a tip for a free reading if you'd like to, or make a donation for one of the other readings. I answer all types of questions, but I do not answer questions about medical or legal issues. I mentioned earlier about the issue with asking the same question over and over again over a short period of time. Um, Another problem that people run into when they approach a tarot reading is they tend to ask yes or no questions. With the tarot reading, we're getting a little more in depth than just yes or no. So, what I always suggest to people is to try and phrase the question so that it has like a who or a what or a where or a why at the beginning of their question, so that the question is asking more specific information. Um, I also suggest that if you want a general reading, just kind of like message from spirit, that when you say so, and this is actually true with your question too, when you ask your question or if you just want a general reading, focus on in your mind, make sure that your mind is focused on what your question is, because that energetic link between you and the cards and me is an important component, well, albeit an invisible one, that can make your reading much more helpful. Here comes one of my noisy neighbors now. Hopefully you don't hear it. Hopefully the speaker is very directed towards me and not the ambient noise. If you saw my short for that announces this particular evening, I'd be curious to see what you thought of the thumbnail for that short and also the thumbnail for this live. I'm having a lot of fun with that. This is a smaller size than most tarot cards come in. It's closer to like a regular deck of cards. It's a little longer, but I use this. I have other decks, but I use these decks because I have little hands, and it's very hard for me to shuffle a large deck. So I like to use these decks. And as a result, I'm going to be purchasing a new deck. It's actually not new to me. It's called the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot deck, which is one of my favorites. But I have the regular size version, and I'd like to get a smaller size so I can use them in these lives. Another deck that's like, it's an old deck. It's one of my favorites, though. It's the second deck I ever owned. Is the Robin Wood Tarot, and I may also purchase that because there's a smaller version of that too. And the very first deck I ever owned was called the Connolly deck. I don't know if it even exists anymore. I know a lot of people like to buy the bespoke decks that other people different creators have made and they're selling on their own. I can't afford those. They're kind of expensive for me. But maybe someday. Maybe I need to make a wish list of bespoke decks that I'd like, and perhaps people will um, purchase them for me because they're just really nice people. It's hard to believe, but we're coming up on the half hour. What I might do is if things remain slow like they are right now, I might close this down and then come back on later tonight for kind of a pop up reading, and we'll see what happens. I do dedicate my Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays to these live tarot readings. I may be expanding that at some point, but right now it's Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. My little bot here, Nightbot, besides like giving you valuable information in the chat, they also they will kick you. It will kick you out if you put too many emojis. And I think there's something else that kicks out. I think it kicks out other bots as well. I'll have to check. So he's kind of like my moderator. However, I also can ban you from the channel if you are belligerent or abusive to myself or others. That is not okay. I haven't had that problem yet. Like my sleeves today, they're very botanical. I like to wear long sleeves, but I didn't have any long sleeves on today, so I put on my little sun sleeves. Once again, this is In the Garden Tarot, offering free readings tonight. Hi, Phoenix. I like your name. Phoenix, would you like a reading tonight? Okay, if you want to go ahead and post your question. Try not to make it a yes or no question. Ooh, any good news coming in for you? Do you have a particular timeline you want to zoom in on, like good news this week or good news in the next 6 months? Or no, that's perfectly good. It's not asking me for. Not asking for a yes or no. I'm just curious if you want to like zoom in on a particular time frame. Okay, so Phoenix is with us here today, and Phoenix would like to know what good news could be coming their way this week. It's always nice to receive good news. What kind of good news might he or she receive this week? Like over the weekend. Okay, Phoenix is looking for some good news over the weekend. Whether it's by phone or text or in person, or maybe they see something on TV. What kind of good news can Phoenix expect over the weekend? Let's see. All right. So Phoenix, here we go. Ooh, the World card. That is like the best card you can get. So you're going to have a great weekend, that's for sure. All right, and then we have the Eight of Pentacles. Are you working on, like, are you going to school? Or are you working on some kind of project or skill that you're wanting to apply yourself to? Then the last card is the Devil, which is not necessarily a bad card. And on the bottom, we have the Magician, which is another, he's kind of hidden there. I'm going to put him someplace where you can see him, which is another card that kind of indicates the idea of doing a hobby, an artistic project, honing your skills. All of those kind of fit under that umbrella. But I feel like with the World card there, you're going to have a wide open opportunities this weekend for fun. If I'm going to base it on the Devil is very much about more physical enjoyment. It's not necessarily a negative card unless it becomes an obsession, if you understand what I'm saying here. So I would say that maybe going out and having a good time with your friends. But I do feel like the good news that you're going to get is someone is going to offer you some kind of opportunity to apprentice. Well, that's a different question. The question we had was good news this weekend. I can't, so that's the question I asked about, and that's the question this is answering. I can do another reading for you, but that would be our 5-card reading, which is $8. And this is the free reading. But I think that you're going to be offered an opportunity to apprentice with someone, to learn a new skill with someone, or to develop skills you already have. Oh, okay. You said I've been manifesting something in love. Okay, I misunderstood what you were saying. So nothing about love here, but definitely something about possibly, I understand, Phoenix. Thanks for clarifying that for me. But possibly some opportunities to learn and grow as a person. So keep a lookout for that. I'm going to be curious about the devil, though. I'm going to do a clarifying card on the devil to see. Got the Six of Pentacles reversed and the Four of Cups reversed. So, as far as like something to watch out for this weekend would be careful who you help out. Like with the Six of Pentacles, it's about like generosity and charity and all that. And the fact that it's reversed also with the Four of Cups reversed kind of means there might be, you might be a little too free with your money as far as being helpful and kind to people. So be more discriminating with that this weekend. All righty. Well, I'll be curious to hear. Hope you let me know what kind of opportunities will be presented to you. I'm glad to hear that you're manifesting something in love. You know, there's a person on YouTube who does a program called Tarot Logic, and he just posted a new thing about the whole thing about manifestation. And I haven't watched it, but it has an intriguing title. Um, the title says how or why manifestation is making you weak. I don't know what that means, but I've liked some other things that he's posted, Tarot Logic. So, he might be someone to check out. Hi, Phoenix. Thanks for coming in. I hope that was helpful. Yeah, it was super interesting. You never know what's going to come out. I was just talking earlier, so it's on the recording, but I was talking about how the querent, which would be yourself, how important their focus on their question. That's one of my neighbors being idiots. Can you hear that? I live in a corner and there's people that drive by with these really, really loud music and it's quite annoying. Anyway, I was talking about how when you have a question, it's important that you stay focused on that question while the cards are being shuffled. Or if you just want like general information, that you stay focused on the shuffling of the cards, because that can make a big difference in what comes out. And I have arrived at the halfway point in this hour of free readings. I may jump on much later this evening. Right now I'm kind of experimenting with different times, what times seem to work the best, especially with my noisy neighbors. I realize I'm old and out of step with whatever's cool, but I just think it's rude to have like really, really loud music playing as you're driving through someone else's neighborhood, so loud that it's vibrating their windows. I wish people were more considerate of others. I'm reading a book called Falling Down and Getting Up. There's more to the title than that. It's about living your life fully. And at the very beginning, it has this little, I guess it would be a type of free-form poem. It says, "The dirt that packs the plant is the beginning of beauty, and those who haul the piano on the stage are the beginning of music. And those who are stuck, though they dream of soaring, they are the ancestors of our wings." Do you feel stuck? I love the opening paragraph of this book. It says, "When medieval monks were asked how they practiced their faith, they said, by falling down and getting up. This is the human journey from which no one is exempt. We are constantly challenged to get up one more time than we fall, to open one more time than we close, and to put things together one more time than we take them apart." I think these are the things where tarot can really be helpful, is in the spiritual journey. I know that we want to know about, our careers and money and our love life, and those are all perfectly valid questions to ask. But I think that the most valuable thing we get from the tarot is advice on the spiritual path. And one of the private readings that I offer is called 5 Vibes from Your Guides. And it's specifically reaching out to your angels and ancestors and spirit guides and asking each one to give you a little piece of advice or encouragement to help you along your way. I've had so many in my life, so many times where I've lost everything and had to rebuild again. So I really can relate to this falling down and getting up concept. I think when you go through trauma in life, when you go through hard times, one of the blessings of coming out on the other side is that you can help others who are in the shoes that you were in before you got up again. So we're about 15 minutes from the top of the hour. I'll be offering free readings for the next 15 minutes. And then I'll be saying goodbye for now. I'll probably come on later this evening. Hi, Lauren. How are you? Are you seeking a reading tonight? Or have you just come to keep me company? I'm here. Can you hear me? Okay. So just let me know what your question is. Oh, thank you. Okay, good. I wasn't sure. I have no way of knowing, of course. So let me know your question and I'll go ahead and do a little spread for you. His next action towards you. Oh my goodness, that sounds very aggressive. What is Lauren Scorpio guy? What's going on with them? What's their next action toward her? Scorpio guy. That's messed up cards there. Scorpio guy. What are you doing in the shadows there? Have you talked to him? Or is this like a no contact situation? Is he a vampire? You can sense his energy? I'm being serious. I'm not being facetious at all. Okay, let's see what Scorpio guy's energy is. What's their next action? What's their next action in the actual physical world, not what they might be doing mentally or on the ether, but what is their next action in the physical world, like right now? Let's see what we got. Well, they are definitely going to spring into action with the Four of Swords reversed, because that's when it's upright. It's usually means the person is taking a break from the world. High Priestess. Definitely. Is he involved in any kind of occult kind of stuff or spiritual stuff? I mean, I can't imagine a Scorpio that isn't, but it's possible. Okay, because with the High Priestess there, that might be you. And then I feel like we got this card before with him. I might be confusing it with another one. But the Five of Swords reversed. So you say he's your guy, but you haven't heard from him in a while. Are you guys a couple, or is this more like you feel like he's the one for you? Have you broken up? So you're very clairvoyant. Ah, yes, a divine connection. I'm curious, you haven't heard from him. Have you reached out? Have you tried to contact him? With the Five of Swords reversed, this is not a good card as far as a relationship. This is like, I'm kind of tired of this crap. kind of card. So whether that's you or him, I don't know. I think his next action towards you, since that was your question, is he's going to let you know how he really feels. And if his feelings are that he doesn't want to be involved with you, whether you have a connection or not, he's going to let you know. And if his feelings are that he does want to have a relationship with you, that he's changed his mind, then yeah. So are you tired of waiting on him? Because there's definitely I'm sick and tired of this with the Five of Swords reverse there. Yeah. Well, you say that he's the type to pursue you, but you said earlier that you haven't heard from him in a while. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Somebody is gonna start going into action, and they're kind of sick and tired of what's going on. Whether that's the financial situation or the relationship situation, but I think as far as like what his next actions are towards you, I think that you're gonna finally get some clarity with him one way or the other. Yeah, that's true. That is absolutely true. I think that you yourself, with the high priestess here, I know you feel like you have a spiritual connection with him, but um, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily a good connection for either one of you. At least not now. So maybe think about whether or not this is a good connection for you, or whether you are, uh, because you're so focused on this, you're missing other opportunities. That would be like my final thing said to you. But I think you're going to hear from him, and I think in one way or another, and he's going to let you know what his feelings are, what his situation is. Oh, no doubt. I love Scorpios. I'm a Pisces. Not only do I love Scorpios, but I'm a Scorpio ascendant. That's good that you've done that. But even if I mean, I don't know why I'm harping on this, so I apologize if I'm being too like in your business. But just because someone's a good person doesn't mean they're your person. Doesn't mean that they're the best choice for you. There is a man that I was involved with that I would still to this day trust with my life. But that doesn't mean but because of our various situations, it didn't mean that um, we were going to end up together. Yeah. Well, time will tell, right? I'm kind of too old. I'm kind of past um, all that romantic stuff nowadays. Yeah. Sagittarius. That kind of explains your name. Laura is unbothered because one thing about Sagittarius is that I've noticed is that they are definitely like very open-minded, philosophical people. It's funny how generational things are. When I was 33, I had just gotten divorced after a 10-year marriage, and it was like a new beginning for me. And I would say, and I guess it would be my prime. I think that my 40s, mid 40s, or probably would say were my prime. I like Sagittarius men. I don't think they'd be a good fit for me, but I like them. They're a lot of fun. They bring out more of that adventurous side of me, so I like that. But they don't have all the qualities that I need in a close relationship. Yeah, as a matter of fact, from what I've read, Sagittariuses are the most what's what I'm looking for? The most resistant to settling down of all the different signs. Yeah, I think all that fire might not be good. The Scorpio, the water is nice and it's a fixed water too, so it's kind of it's stabilizing for you. So that's good. But Scorpios do tend to they can be jealous and possessive, which is definitely not something that would be good with you. Which, yeah, I mean, they can get married. It's just that supposedly they're more resistant to a committed relationship. See, it's not just about your sun sign, right? It's about the other things that are going on in your chart. Where do you have Scorpio in your chart, Lauren? Scorpio rules my ninth house in my chart, but I have a Scorpio ascendant. Oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to say Scorpio rules. Scorpio is my ascendant. I meant to say Mars. Pluto, Scorpio, and one other. Pluto's in Scorpio. What house is it in? Do you know? Oh, what's you might want to like there's a website called astro.com, and you can like it's free, and you can put in your information and actually find out where things are in your houses, because that can tell you what area of your life that is affecting you. When I think of Pluto, Pluto is the planet of self undoing. So, where you can be your own worst enemy, especially with Scorpio there, that's pretty intense. Like, for instance, if it were your second house, your house of money, you might be like your own worst enemy when it comes to finances and savings and all that. Yeah. I imagine as a Sagittarius, you might like that excitement. I'm a Pisces, but I have all four elements. I have the fixed sign in I have them in my 10th, my 4th, my ascendant, and my 7th. So like a cross. So I'm not as flaky as and kind of woo woo as most Pisces are when you think of them. Yeah, you and me as Sagittarius, you and I share a sub ruler because Jupiter. So we are both philosophers, but in different ways, philosophical. Not altruistic, like you want to help other people. But a lot of my other planets are in Aquarius, which and my Uranus is very, very strongly placed in my 10th house. So what that means is I kind of enjoy shocking people. I will do things just to like get a reaction out of people sometimes. Yeah, I can't imagine a pessimistic Sagittarius. You would have to have like strong placements in more pessimistic planets. Yeah. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, and it's a very Aquarius is like tend to really like weird, out of the box, outside the norm kind of things, and in my case, way of seeing the world and living. And I do tend to I'll say things all the time as kind of a joke, but I'll say things or do things all the time that will intentionally wanting to shock people. So I guess that's kind of like my evil. That's my evil quirk. But my moon is in Taurus and it's in my seventh house, my house of relationships. So I really like having a very calm and private and safe home, and relationships where I can have people I can count on who are grounded. As a matter of fact, the last relationship I was in, he was a Taurus, and I love Tauruses. They're a good match for me. But the relationships I've been in most of the time, what accidentally is another Pisces, which is like a big, not a good thing, not a good fit for me. Yeah. If you think about it elementally, like earth needs water, otherwise it just becomes dried up and hard, and water needs earth to direct it, to give it structure. So it's a good combination. Yeah, to be a Pisces man is a very difficult position to be in. It's much easier to be a Pisces woman. Yeah, they are definitely not a lot of people's cup of tea. The ones that I've been involved with, they tend to, and part of this is cultural. If they, and I'm speaking of heterosexual, I don't know about men who are of other interests, but is that there's a lot of expectation that just doesn't fit their personality and what their strengths are. So a lot of times they'll fall into women too, I guess, they'll fall into escapist things. And that's not a good thing for someone who's like in a relationship, especially if there are children involved, although they do make good parents. I dated a Capricorn for about 5 years. We were pretty serious. Um, he was okay with parts of my personality, but he was such a stick in the mud. And I'm an Aquarius. I like, to be out in the world and interacting and adventure and all that. And I felt like I was constantly like having to push him to get things done, to do things. Yeah, yeah, they do. They can be out of control, but that's true with any sign if you really think about it. So if we take your sign, for instance, fire under control can be very powerful and transformational. But if fire is out of control, it can be very destructive and harmful. And it's the same thing with water, same thing with air, same thing with earth. Yeah. But if you're not keeping it, if it's not being contained and controlled and focused towards something, think of the usefulness of a campfire as opposed to a forest fire destroying a whole forest. You know, I have a Leo 10th house, so I tend to end up being in charge whenever there's a team of people. It depends. Like I said, it does depend on what other planets and signs they have that are prominent in their chart. Because, like for me, I've got a lot of fixed signs, and I've got a Leo 10th house, so I am definitely not someone who likes to escape. Quite the opposite. But if you've got a lot of air and water, definitely that combination, especially, can be problematic as far as the escapism, people pleasing. Those are the more negative qualities. Not, yeah. And a Leo moon. Wow. You should check out what houses they're in and what your aspects are, because that could be like a next step in your journey. Well, Lauren, I'm coming up on the end of my time here. I'm going to be ending this stream, and then I'll probably be on later tonight. But I enjoyed talking to you. Thanks for coming in again. I always like getting the company. Have a good night, hon.